Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso, and a little earlier, Grant Hines took us through Gran Turismo 7, the latest iteration of this game that's been around for so long. And when it comes to driving simulators, you know it's always been Gran Turismo. It's been the game we spoke about on the playgrounds. We've played it since 1997, believe it or not. And let's it's Thursday. Let's throw back a little bit, Grant, and go back to the game where it started and where it is right now. So
for those of you who've just tuned in, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that's 25 years ago.
My back.
So if you remember like I do, we're opas now.
Yeah, we're
buddies.
He's my chat.
Yeah, this is the game. But 1997, Gran Turismo One came out, and I told the story a little bit earlier of how I painted my mom's wall around the house so that I could get a copy. That was my
reward,
my reward for doing it. And I spent holidays playing the game. It was mind-blowing. Look at these graphics.
They were immaculate.
Were they? I mean, look what we've got now. Everything was very polygonal. Obviously, I think this is running at like 16 frames.
Honestly, I was confused. I thought we were playing Minecraft. Okay, but
what was big about it was that it was on CD, on PlayStation 1. The consoles before that, all the racing games were actually not 3D. So this was the first 3D simulator. And back then, it was mind-blowing. Also, the soundtrack was...
Yeah, it's always been good.
It's always been good. Then Gran Turismo 2 came out in 1999. And I loved Gran Turismo 2 because they had like a rally section.
Yeah.
And, you know, they started with GT1 with mostly road cars and stuff. And they started like breaking out the simulation and adding new kinds of driving to the simulation pool, which was really cool. The graphics were a little bit better.
You can see look at the shine in the car.
Look,
hey, look at that.
They were just like iteratively better. The biggest part was the frame rate. As you can see right now, it's a little bit smoother than the last one. Yeah. And frame rate's always a big deal when you're doing anything. Like the higher the frame rate, the more realistic it looks, because there's no frames in real life, right? So that's a huge deal. That's why when you watch like some movies and you've got a new TV and it looks like a soap opera, it's because there's too many frames. So the more frames per second, the more realistic it looks. It looks like they're in the room. And you're like, oh, I want this to be. Why isn't this Mission Impossible? Then in 2001, we got a Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I didn't play Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, but I know there were a lot of people that were really into it. I
don't remember this version. I think Gran Turismo 4 is where I sort of stepped in a bit more.
Look, I think it came out a little bit too close to Gran Turismo 2.
Okay.
And also in my life, like I was going through, I think we were roughly the same age. You know, climbing towards matric. I already had Gran Turismo 2. I was really getting a really good simulation fix. Yeah. So this wasn't on my radar, but there are a lot of fans of this particular game. It sold nearly 15 million copies. So 14,890,000 copies. So, is that...
Listen properly.
Yeah, 400, So it was a very, very popular game.
At least you got your stats too. That's what I love. I love the stats. And then
15 million copies of a game. That's huge. That's up. That's 5 million up from the last game.
That's huge.
Which is pretty great. Then Gran Turismo 4, 2004, also PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And let's move on because the best.
This is the one that I remember like it was yesterday.
Well, so a lot of people bought PlayStation. So again, this is how it works. New console comes out, PlayStation 2.
That makes sense.
Then you get a new Gran Turismo. Now you want to see how good the graphics are. So that's why this became like super popular. And remember, Gran Turismo 3, although it came out on PlayStation 2, was Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. So it was a bit like, what is that? People wanted like a Gran Turismo 4 solid, full stop. I want to see the big deal. And that was it. I mean, and look, you can see how vastly better the graphics were from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. Then Gran Turismo 5 came out on PlayStation 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, this was a big deal, 2010. And it looks remarkably better from that jump. You can see the jump from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3 was huge. Better levels, much better lighting effects, bigger scale in buildings. The light refraction on the cars was incredible.
Look at this. This is great.
It really was a huge game for its time. And I remember everybody was talking about like how realistic Gran Turismo was. And also they kept on making it more and more vast as they went along. Then in 2013, Gran Turismo 6 came out, also PS3, much better, iteratively better graphics, much better than the PlayStation 2. We've seen a generational leap in quality of performance. I mean, you can see right now, like, how big a deal that was. And car enthusiasts were super excited. And remember, now was the time that Gran Turismo had to do something, because Forza was starting to come out. So now they had competition. Up until then, they didn't really have any form of competition. And that was a huge deal. Then 2017, we had Gran Turismo Sport. Not my favorite Gran Turismo game. Looked great, but it was an online, mostly online-only game. And it was just, it didn't do as well. Now I think it's free to play. But 2022, 25 years since the original Gran Turismo, since I was sitting in that schoolyard arguing about that Mitsubishi four-wheel,
and painting.
It was the first time I knew a Dodge Viper was a terrible car to race, because in all these credits earning that Dodge Viper, only to put it on the racetrack and be like...
But that was the car that everybody was after. Was it the one that was yellow? It was like
no, it was blue. It was white, blue with white stripes.
I remember this vehicle. Everybody wanted it, but then it was so difficult to control.
Yeah, it was
as soon as you go for a corner, you
sold that car immediately out of that game, and I got a Mitsubishi four-wheel in the game. I remember that. But yeah, 2022, look at these graphics. They are absolutely spectacular. Like, I'm like so excited about Gran Turismo's future. And obviously, as somebody who's into video games, PlayStation 5 is just, you know...
You can tell. I mean, it's smooth, it's beautiful. I think the only thing that we need to do, Grant, is do a little challenge between myself and somebody else a little bit later. But thanks a lot for giving us a little throwback on Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 7 is out now, and we'll be putting to the test just a little bit later. For now, what do you have there, Zoe?